Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town for this Tuesday, February 7th. I'm Gary Stevens. It is the first Tuesday of the month, and we always designate the first Tuesday as a Feel the Zeal Tuesday as we spotlight the city of Zeeland. We'll have the Master Gardener, Jan Musen from the Brine Seed in Zeeland join us in the 10 o'clock hour. But in this segment, we are very pleased to have on the other side of our Zoom connection the mayor of the city of Zeeland, Kevin Klynstra, join us. Kevin, good morning. Hope all is well with you and everybody at City Hall.
Good morning, Gary. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. If you have a question for Kevin about what's going on in Zeeland, he'll be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. As we like to do is we chat with the mayor. Usually it comes a day after the city council has met, and such was again the case last night. And one of the top items that was on the business agenda was a tax exemption certificate that was being requested by Gentex to do some improvements with one of its facilities. Tell us a little bit about what that exemption certificate was all about, and what does Gentex plan to do?
Well, they're putting a couple additions on their State Street plant. Right now they're working on the southwest corner, and when that is finished, they will go to the northwest corner and put on a couple additions, a total of $27 million. As one of our council people pointed out last night, compared to some of their other projects they've done, $27 million doesn't seem like that much, but we're happy to have them, and it is a lot of money just compared to what they've done in the past. But so they got a couple different things they want to do in those sections, but we're glad they're expanding in the city of Zeeland, and we gave them a exemption certificate for 12 years. And as we normally do for companies that want to expand in Zeeland, we've done many over the years, and it seems to work. We keep drawing in companies into the area, and they keep expanding.
There's really no concern. We had a story on our wires last week. Gentex looking to do some expanding in the Grand Rapids area, saying that they got to go where the workers are, because it'd be kind of tough to get those workers to make the trip from Grand Rapids into Zeeland. There's really no concern that an employer like Gentex might want to uproot and go somewhere else because they want to go where the workers are.
Yeah, that's not it at all. I talked to the gentleman that presented their work to us last night, and the same thing that you said. They're doing it to draw some employees. Like every company in the area, they're having a hard time filling positions. So they're hoping that maybe if they cut down the drive for some of these people that live in that area, that it'll draw them to them. Just like they said last month that they were going to open a daycare center on their Zeeland site. So that again is to help draw in working mothers or working fathers too, as well, I guess. And so yeah, it's a different climate out there for drawing employees into your place of business, and they're trying different things to see what they can do.
If you have a question for Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra, he'll be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. A couple of other items from the agenda from last night's meeting. One was handing out a contract for some improvements, another phase of the improvements over at Huizinga Park. Tell us about that.
Yeah, they were going to put in another set of pickleball courts, another 4. So there'll be a total of 8 over there, and it'll be to the east of the ones that are there now. And pickleball has been very popular, and the Zeeland Rec has used them for classes and for pickleball tournaments, and so it's worked well. And we hope that it continues that way, and we're prepared for that in the future. Plus, they're going to do some walkways around the pond, and yeah, it'll be a nice addition to our Heisinger Park. That probably will be the last one we do there for a while. We have to concentrate on some of the other parks around town, but we've invested a lot of money over there over the years. I believe it was over 600,000 for the new Timber Town. It was around 400,000 or I think it was 600,000 because we put in the bathroom by the other pickleball courts. So yeah, we've invested a lot of money into that park, but it's well used. It's our most used park in the city, so I think it's been worth it.
Another contract, and then I'll get the big one in a moment. Another contract, and I think it's a good one in the sense that it's a win-win situation, is $103,000 with B2 Building, Bridges, and Professional Services, tree planting and accompanying improvements at the Felt Street Cemetery and along Alice Avenue. It's a win-win situation. You get the trees planted, and I believe that company is one that uses labor and gives people opportunities to get some work in.
Yes, they work with veterans and senior citizens and people that have a hard time finding a job otherwise, that they give them employment. And like you said, it's a win-win situation. We help them out, and we get some trees planted in the meantime.
Kevin, one more thing from the meeting before we move to a couple of other items. I saved this one for last because it is something that we've talked about in the past. It's a very important project dealing with working on snow melt. And one of the contracts that was awarded last night, it looks like, was one for a company that's going to help actually put the snow melt in. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, we had a busy night last night. We spent a lot of money for the city of Zeeland, but the biggest one, of course, was the snow melt. It was we awarded the bid last night, and it was over $10 million. So yeah, it's been a long time. Like you said, we've talked about this project for a long time. I think we had our first snow melt meeting before the pandemic started, and then it abruptly got stopped for several months while we went through the pandemic. But yeah, over a lot of meetings and a lot of discussions, and we finally got the bid awarded, and it looks like this spring, or actually they're going to start in June because they're going to be working in front of the middle school on Main Street, Cityside Middle School. So yeah, it's an exciting time. I think it will be well worth the money, and it'll be a 2-year project. Actually, they're going to do from Church Street to Maple Street the first year, and then the next year they'll be doing Church Street to State Street. So the downtown area won't be affected until next year.
Yeah, it gives time for some of the downtown events that come in during the summer. That it'll be fine for 2023. 2024 might be a little dicey, but let's put it this way: if considering all the things that has gone on in our area, let's just say we can live with a little bit of diciness in a short term in that regard.
Yeah, I think so, and I think like I said, I think it'll be a big plus for our downtown, and we're always looking for ways to help our retailers and our storefront owners, and I think this will be a big plus for them.
616-395-1450. If you have a question for Zeeland Mayor Kevin Klynstra, 616-395-1450. Before last night's meeting, Kevin, in work study on the agenda was a follow-up to the 2023 goal-setting session. Since it's our first chance to chat since the goal-setting session was held last month, tell us a little bit about this follow-up and about the goal-setting session as part of the budget-making process in Zeeland.
Well, it went well. We met 2 nights at the end of January, and a Monday night and a Wednesday night, and each night was about a 3-hour meeting. And we discussed many topics, and our city manager, Mr. Plunder, said, as far as goals, he says, don't be afraid to think big. So a lot of things were put out in front of us. We broke up into different groups, and the first night we listened to our staff and heard what they would like to do this coming year and what they accomplished the year before. And then the next night we broke up into groups, and we did a lot of dreaming, and we put out there what we thought would be good for the city of Zeeland in the next year and beyond. And then we rated them. We got to vote on the things, and we started out with, I believe, 89 things that were on the board, and we narrowed it down to around 30. So, yeah, it's a big list, but our staff usually does a great job, and they prioritize it, and looking forward to see what we have and how much money we can spend. Actually, we got budget hearings coming up in March, and right now the finance department is working hard on the budget. So we'll see what happens after our March meetings.
Looking at the agenda notes, what Kevin Plockmeyer said: 7 commitments to spread zeal. That's a good way. Right. That's a good way of putting it. And we touched upon a few of them already in our discussions of what happened during the meeting. Vibrant downtown, that of course is the snow melt. Tie in with that. Economic and community development. We had the Gentex tax abatement request. Culture, parks, and recreation. Talked a little bit about Huizinga Park as well. Strong, safe, and connected neighborhoods, and that's something that has been a strength for Zeeland for a number of years, is the fact that it is pretty much a neighborhood type community. Just you want to sort of keep it that way, isn't it?
That's right. And one of the main things on that one is the pedestrian passageway across Business Loop 196. And of course, we're working with the MAC right now and trying to figure out what we can do with that, along with Holland Township, Zeeland Township. But again, that will be a big money project, and we'll see what happens with that. But again, we would like to connect our southern portion of the city with the main part of the city, and be able to do it in a safe way. And again, we'll probably be having a lot of meetings on that. And hopefully, like the snow melt, it will come into fruition in the next few years.
Kevin, let me bring up a subject that has come up over the past month. It was not addressed in last night's meeting, but it is something that has brought up some conversation at City Hall and elsewhere in the city of Zeeland. And that is a request by some of the current liquor license holders in Zeeland to waive the Sunday prohibition on alcohol sales in Zeeland for Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve in 2023 because they land on Sundays. Interesting question. And frankly, Kevin, I don't think there's a simple answer to it. It's basically, from what I have seen, this is not a subject that you just can say, okay, fine, we'll just let it go for a couple of days, isn't it?
No, and actually, there is a pretty simple answer to it, because we asked the Liquor Control Commission, which is a state-run organization, and they said no. So you cannot. It's either you're open on Sundays or you're not open on Sundays. So that was the simple answer, and but it led to discussions on if we wanted to look at changing that rule for the city of Zeeland, that if we wanted to look into having Sunday sales. I know there's been restaurants that have asked about it, if they were thinking about coming into town, and it was kind of a detriment for them coming into town. So that discussion from asking if they could just change it for a couple nights was kind of broadened, and we'll be looking into it a little bit, asking our current license holders if they would be interested in that, or maybe they won't be, and it won't be a big deal, and we'll keep things as it is. But we just thought it was time for a discussion on that matter.
And part of it is the fact that even though both of us remember the very close vote that allowed liquor sales to be done in the city of Zeeland in the first place, and I think it was '06 was the year that passed it. I think it was a recount that was involved as well. Even though a lot of people that voted there are no longer with us, or they've moved on, and all that, there's still a lot of people who still remember when Zeeland was a dry town. And even though they're accepting what it is now, trying to ask maybe the electorate to go for Sunday sales, because it's going to probably have to go to the voters anyway. Even if that does to open it up, it might be a kind of a tough ask right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a passionate issue. People have different views on if we should do it or not, and that's what we're here. We would probably have a public hearing on it if we did it, and so yeah, it's every time we bring up something new on it, we get a lot of response on it, and this is no different. So we'll look at it very closely and listen to the voters and see what they have to say.
Yeah, it might be something a little later in, but there's time to discuss it, but I have a funny feeling it still might be a case of no Sundays, period. But things can change between February and December. Since the last time we chatted, Kevin, you've added some extra responsibilities. Looking at some of the notes, you have become the chair of the West Michigan Regional Airport Authority. And tell us a little bit about that responsibility now that is on your shoulders.
Yeah, it's I've been on the board of the airport since I become mayor, and they are our chairman that was on for about 6 years, Russ Stiles. He was done with his term, so I got voted in, and hope to do as good a job as what he did. And before him, our city manager Tim Klynstra was the chairman, so. We've got it back in Zeeland's hands, and I hope to be able to fill their shoes and do a good job.
Well, you'd be a good person to ask a little bit about some of the challenges that might be facing the airport right now, because of the fact that regional airports are still necessary, still vibrant. But there's always the challenges, operational challenges, and just exactly where does West Michigan Regional Airport fit in the overall scheme of things in this area's economy right now? Yeah,
that's Park Township and City of Holland and Zeeland are all members of that, and we give a tenth of a mil to support it as well as the other communities. And we feel it's an important part for our industry to move people from place to place, because it is a world economy now, and our industry has places all over the world, and and that was the main thing. But that was a close vote as well to enter into that partnership. I believe that one passed by one vote. So, but I think since then we've had several other votes to continue it, and each time it gets more and more people that are in favor of it.
Quick question then would be, could other communities be brought in to the authority to help shoulder the load a little bit? One gaping hole looks to be Holland Township. A lot of industry there, probably uses the facility, but Holland Township's not part of the West Michigan Regional Airport Authority. It'd be kind of tough maybe to bring people in because people don't want to, it's our money, but the benefits are there. If maybe some other communities might want to join.
Yeah, we would love to have them join, and that's what we'll be working on in the next few years. That came up in our goal setting that we had at the beginning of the year for the airport, and we'll be reaching out to these communities and see if we can bring them in.
If you got anything that you need to know about in the city of Zeeland, the city's webpage is cityofzeeland.com. That is cityofzeeland.com. Kevin Klynstra, Mayor of the City of Zeeland, as always, thank you very much for your time and your insights on some of the things going on in your community. Wish you and everyone in Zeeland well over the next few weeks, and we look forward to chatting with you again in about 4 weeks here on Talk of the Town.
Thank you very much, Gary. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Kevin Klynstra, 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.